Hey everyone, welcome back to this channel. This is a new installment of Revolutions. This week in a slightly different location. This is my CD room, as you can see. I've been on holidays for the past couple of weeks because I'm a teacher and this is the winter break here in Melbourne. And so as a consequence, I've been playing lots of records, as you can imagine, and because it's winter, you tend to stay indoors and you tend to play lots more than you would. So I want to share those with you. I've been knee deep into classical music of late. Don't know why, it just sort of fits the mood of the weather and of the time. And the first few records I'm going to show you are all classical records. I could really show you 20 classical records today if I wanted to, but you know, maybe for another video, maybe a gimme 10 on classical was no, but how can you reduce classical music to 10 records? It's just fucking pointless, really. The record I was just playing then is this compilation called Armistice Day. I'll just unfold it because it sort of goes like this. I picked this up years and years and years ago at a charity shop because of the lineup. So the lineup is here. I'll show you. You've got Shostakovich, Lully, Penderecki, Brahms, all of which I love. This is a compilation loosely themed around the apocalypse, basically, and war. And yeah, it's got, for example, an excerpt from the Victims of Hiroshima by Penderecki, just give you a bit of a, you know, of an idea of the mood you get on this. It's yeah, it's a great compilation. It's very somber and very obviously tragic in you know, sounding. And since we're talking about somber records, this has got a very somber mood too. This is a couple of violin sonatas by Bela Bartok, the Hungarian master. And this is Andre Gertler on violin and Diane Anderson on piano. Here you go. And this came out on Superfun, you know, in 1965. There you go. And I picked this up years ago too, and I love this. This is so moody and brooding and dark, and I mean Bartok has got this kind of, yeah, gothic quality, you know, to his music, and I highly recommend Bela Bartok because, I mean, for me, he's one of my favorites. Likewise with Robert Schuman. This is something that I picked up really recently. I think in the first week of the holidays, I went to an op shop, which is a charity shop for us in Australia, and I picked up I scooped up a few classical cheapies, and this was one of them. Robert Schuman, Symphony Number 1 in B flat major, which he composed, I think, in 1814 or something like that. I can't remember the date. But this is a wonderful, very sort of lush and kind of bombastic at times symphony, which I got here for next to nothing. Now this here, I'll talk about this for a second, is World Record Club. This is the label here, World Record Club, there, and it's an Australian label, as you can see, based in, and they're very distinctive. It's like a series, and they made hundreds of records. And they all had some very, very beautiful sleeves. Their own interpretation of sleeves, and every time you see one, you know, especially with classical, you just buy them because they're just so beautiful to look at, as well as, you know. So London Symphony Orchestra. Now, here's a couple of records by the great master Shostakovich. This is the concerto for cello in E flat. With obviously Miroslav Rostropovich on cello, which is, he's amongst the 4 or 5 heavyweights of the instrument, you know, Jacqueline Dupré, Pablo Casals, Pierre Fournier, and then you've got this guy. you know, Rostropovich, amazing, amazing, really delicate touch. This is a superb, superb record. This is the Speaker's Corners repress, which I got, I think, during lockdown. Lovely music, very, yeah, again, very delicate. And since I'm talking about Rostropovich and Shostakovich, here's another one which is I highly recommend. If you can find this, if you can find this cheap, this is obviously on Deutsche Grammophon, and it's Concerto for Cello and Orchestra Number 2, which is again like it's just a masterpiece. It's a very, very lovely record. Conducted by Ozawa, Seiji Ozawa, who was a student of Herbert von Karajan. So from the same kind of, you know, they've got the same kind of style of conducting. Now, since I'm talking about Shostakovich, I picked this up recently. I was unaware of this recording. It is solo piano by Keith Jarrett. It's a double box set of him doing preludes and fugues, 24 preludes and fugues, composed between 1950 and 1951 by Shostakovich. Very, very, very cool. Great to just chuck in the background and just getting lost to. And the last classical record I'm going to show you is another Speaker's Corners delight. It is Schubert, and I love Schubert as well. This is the quintet in A major for piano and strings. So it's a quintet with violin, cello, double bass and piano. It's very, very, again, lovely music, very, yeah, very uplifting in points, and quite evocative, you know, very romantic in sound. Okay, I'll talk about other music well, I'll just go into whichever. Oh, here's a trio of fantastic females. I went to see Anya Rani. It's a good segue because it's kind of in the classical vein. I went to see Anya Rani at the Melbourne Recital Centre a few weeks ago, and she was great. Admittedly, I was a bit tired at night, so I found because the music is very quiet and it's at times very repetitive. Don't go after you've eaten a full Korean barbecue. That's my advice. On Friday night, when you worked like a dog all week long, it's very hard to stay awake at times. But it was beautiful, and she's, you know, she had 3 pianos like around her, and she had like electronic texture, and she sings really well, which I was kind of unaware of in a way because I only ever heard Anya Rani. Polish pianist, sort of modern classical, if you like Niels Fram. She's in the same wheelhouse. Okay. I revisited this masterpiece by Judy Seal, Hard Food, the amazing second and final record by Judy Seal, who, you know, really sad story. Obviously, ended up a junkie and a prostitute in LA, but put out 2 amazing records on David Geffen's Asylum Records. And on this there are 2 masterpieces, The Kiss and the Donor. The Donor being the final track, which is just this like epic kind of, yeah, okay, just listen to it and you'll see. This is from 1973. Beautiful record, absolutely phenomenal. Okay, carrying on. I picked this up a couple of days ago for $2 in my local wop shop here where I live. Linda Lewis. I love Linda Lewis. I'm a fan of Lark. And Lark is more like a soul folk kind of journey. This is more varied. It's a mix of pop, soul. there's some jazzy influences on this. It is called Fathoms Deep. It's written at the bottom there. You can hardly see. It is a third album. It's the album that she released after Lark. She was a British soul singer, and she died in May this year. I was unaware of it. I was talking to Chris Cole, and I was posting this record to Chris Cole, and he was saying, "Oh, she just died." I said, "I just got this for $2 in the op shop." It's a really, really lovely record. Some funky tracks, some more soulful numbers, but Lark was really a soul folk effort. This is a departure from that, I think. And this came out the year after, in 1973. There we go. Okay, here is something completely different. Here is kind of the child of the Cocteau Twins, and Aphex Twin and the Cocteau Twins rolled into one package. It's Insides, band called Insides. They're hail from Brighton or Hove in England, which is next to each other in Sussex, in southern England. In fact, the football club is called Brighton Hove Albion. So they're from Brighton basically. And they signed to 4AD, but where this came out on a subsidiary of 4AD, Guernica Records. That's it for 4AD. It does say that at the bottom somewhere there. So this is the Record Store Day repress from, I think, last year or the year before, which I was able to get for a really, really cheap price. I got this for like less than $35 on the sale somewhere in the shop. And it's a fantastic kind of very moody, melancholic indie pop, ambient pop, sort of ethereal. It's very like, I read a comment that described this as like the Cocteau Twins and Terry Riley making music together, which is not far off. And I think it's more like, the Cocteau Twins and Aphex Twin. That works. Twins. I highly recommend Euphoria. It's a beautiful record. It came out in 1993 originally, and it's kind of the mood of that time. Here is a wonderful obscurity which I'd like to actually share with all of you. This is Joe Bogart. You can't read this, and White Light at the bottom. I think you can read this. So Joe Bogart is a Belgian singer-songwriter, and these recordings, just to give you a time frame, are from 1983, 82-83. So this is kind of, you've got basically the spirit of Joy Division mixed with a kind of singer-songwriter aesthetic. It's kind of like a bit Arthur Russell-esque in parts. Kind of cold wave meets folk. I don't know if you could ever understand this. It's not very. But basically, this guy, he then went on. It's kind of funny because Joe Bogart, after he was this like cold wave, kind of Belgian, darling. He founded Technotronic, Pump Up the Jam. It's the same dude. Yeah, it really is. And White Light is the band that he was in. So what they've done here, this label, which is Stroom record from Belgium, and Well Records. I don't know what is the label. It's probably Well Records because of the Well. They've put together two tracks from White Light and 2 tracks from Joe Bogart. It's a 4-track EP basically of the best sounding stuff that they've released. But it's beautiful. I love this. It's so excellent. I just urge you to just. My favorite side is the side B, Would You, and So Obscene, where you get a real Joy Division kind of sound and a little bit Echo in the Bunnyman-esque, but with a folky twist. If Arthur Russell Bruce Coburn and Joy Division jams. There you go. Here is a brand new record, like an obscurity from Melbourne, and the band's called Toki or Toki maybe, but I think it's Toki, and the record is called Wire Owl, and this record is a private press, which was released earlier this year, and you'll see by the band, so you've got piano, cello, bass, drum, trumpet, bassoon and clarinet. So it's kind of a jazz, modern classical ensemble kind of a feel. Kind of minimal at times as well. And it's just totally beautiful. I mean, I like this on several levels. The music is fantastic, but also the artwork is to die for. And it's kind of like one of these one-off pieces, which I like to, I live in Melbourne, I like to collect those things. So I don't think this will be particularly easy for you to obtain if you want, but you could listen to it on Bandcamp maybe or something, which is, it's okay. I'll continue with my favorite record from one of my favorite things from this year, maybe my favorite album from this year so far. Now, this is a CDR, it's just a, there you go, like we've gone down to new lows. CDR. The reason is because this album is so expensive to buy as a record. Like I would spend over $100 to bring it into Australia. So what I've done is I've gone to Bandcamp and downloaded it, and just burnt it into a CD so I can listen to it on my system. Because I don't have a DAC, or I don't stream on our system. So, but I've got a really good CD player. So, hence I've got this. But judge me if you will. It's a fabulous album. I highly recommend this. It's Paul Sentilla, Tikkiman Volume 1. So what this is, it's a mix between electronica, dub and reggae. It's very, the soundscapes are not too dissimilar to something you would hear on a Burial record maybe, or it's got kind of like a grimy dubsteppy kind of electronic background, and then Paul Sentilla sings, and he's got a very sort of like Jamaican inflection on his vocals. It's clearly reggae. I don't know if he's Jamaican himself. I think he's based in Berlin, but I don't know where he comes from. But this is my favorite record this year. I just fucking love this. And if I find the record for a decent price, I will buy it. But I love this. Speaking of electronic, Ritual Music, a fantastic 2000 and I think 18 or 19 electronic record from a Melbourne drummer. Really, I mean, amazing kind of Fortet-esque kind of record. I've 2019, yeah. So you've got him drumming, and then you've got all sorts of treatments in the background. I think Fortet is a good comparison. I've still got quite a few of them there, so I'll try to zoom. I've already gone 18 minutes. Okay, too bad. I revisited the Greg Foad group, the Dreaming Jewels, amazing kind of jazz funk record, back from 2019 as well. Beautiful record. I think I got this during lockdown too. Highly recommend. Chris Cole, my good friend Chris Cole, John Coltrane 68. We talk every day on WhatsApp. We have this chat, and he posted this record here, and he said, one of my favorite jazz fusion records, maybe even his favorite jazz fusion record, and I've never really heard it. So I went on Discogs, Australian, Australian sellers, and there was a copy, like a US pressing, original US pressing for $30, and I thought, I didn't hesitate. I just bought it straight away, and I put it on turntable, and my mind was blown to pieces. This is a monster record. It's funky and loose, and you've got on this Jan Hammer. So you got Horace Arnold on drums, obviously. You got Jan Hammer on Moog. You've got Dave Friedman on vibes. You've got Ralph Tanner on 12-string guitar. You got Dom Urumau on percussion. You got Art Webb on flute. You got Sonny Fortune on sax. You got John Abercrombie on guitar. I mean, this is a who's who. It's just, I mean, I don't know how I didn't know this record, but thank you, John Coltrane. Thank you, Chris, John Coltrane 68. Love it. I love it. I love this. I revisited this beautiful ECM-like piano meets oud record. This is Khaled Courbet and Rahman Khalaf Ensemble. There you go. That's the name of the band. And it's called Aphorisms. It came out in 2017. It's a lovely ECM, ECM-like kind of lovely piano east meets west type of record. It's got djembe, oud, but also accordion, percussions. It's just delicate and just really tremendously kind of infectious, you know. It's a beautiful. Last night I was revisiting the Natural Information Society with Evan Parker. Obviously, people who watch my videos know about this band. Their recent record, the most recent, is amazing as well. I do have that as like the Paul Sentilla on sort of download, burnt on a CD. But if I find the record, I'll buy it. This is fantastic. I think I prefer this still to the new one. I love the Evan Parker contribution on this. It's really, it's absolutely vibrant and so, you know, excellent. Sorry. The Fire Orchestra. This is probably one of my new favorite records as well. This is Echoes, the very latest, very big band, obviously, with Mats Gustafsson and others, and lots of others, produced by Jim O'Rourke, or mixed by Jim O'Rourke. Yeah, I mean, because it's a box set and because it's a triple LP box set, sometimes it's difficult to get into this because, you know, like putting one record, another, can take a while, but I don't know. I love this. This is beautiful. I don't know if I've already talked about London Brew. It's London Brew. London Brew is a project by the cream of the crop of London jazz, including Nubia Garcia, Tom Skinner on drums, Theon Cross on tuba, Shabaka Hutchins, and many others. There's a photo of them there. And it's basically called London Brew, and it's a tribute to Bitches Brew. Although you'd be hard pressed to recognize Bitches Brew in there, but nonetheless, it's very deep and very meditative as a listening. It's just gets you into a sort of a trance. This thing, if you stick with it. Couple of African records and a couple of Japanese records, and then I'll stop. So I picked this up cheaply recently. Pierre San Luisi, who is normally known as San Luisi Pierre. He was a musician from Burkina Faso. This is a compilation called Le Troubadour de la Savane, 1976-1980, which is just a collection of some of his Afro-synth tracks. And I did a Gimmiton on Afro-synth fairly recently, and I could have included this in, but I didn't have the record at the time. It's on Born Bad record. It's fantastic. Love it. And at the weekend, I went to a flea market in Melbourne and picked this up for like $2 or brand new. It's a box set, brand new wire, which is Nigerian boogie and funk. And I've been playing this a lot recently too. very, very good. Not gonna say too much about this. Here's a fantastic little known record on Flying Nun of all record labels. Flying Nun. The Flying Nun is known for what? For New Zealand indie pop. The Clean, the Verlaines, the Jean-Paul Sartre experience, the so many, the Bats, so many great bands. But this is not an indie pop record from Dunedin. It is a Philip Glass, Steve Reich, Terry Riley infused tribal, ambient, minimalist record, a post-minimalist record. It's called Pacific 3210 Part 1, and the band's called From Scratch. And so you got three, you can see, you got three dudes, and they've got these PVC pipes and drums. You can see them better on this. This is probably a better view of this. And they're, you know, they're playing this drone, and this record was made to protest against the nuclear testing in the Pacific. Very well known here, you know, in the mid 80s. This is from 1985, but Mururoa, which is in French Polynesia, where France used to test nuclear warheads, you know, not good. But anyway, this is a protest record, and it's a very sort of scarce record. I don't think, you know, many people would. I think maybe James Busry would be one person who's got this record that shown it before, but I don't. Just take a listen to it. If you like Philip Glass, if you like Steve Reich, it will be your thing. Finishing off with a couple of Japanese records. This is Toshinori Kondo, Blow the Earth, India. This is a dubby ambient, Miles Davis infused kind of record. He died in 2020, but he made like about 100 records. This guy, he was very prolific. Japanese trumpet player, obviously, and very, very sort of moody, soundscapey, yeah, ambient dub with some Miles on top. You know, if you can imagine that. And the last but not least is the fantastic Benzaiten by Osamu Kitajima, a psychedelic tour de force from 1976, which I revisited the other day when my friend Amos was here for a listening session. This is just, you know, pure fire the whole way. It's got traditional instrument, but it's really a psych record at heart. And that's all. That's what I've got for you today. Nearly 30 minutes. If you don't watch it, you don't watch it. There's no skin of my nose. But you know, if you do watch it and you got to react, then I would appreciate. Love you all.